Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we discussed two slokas of Lord Brahma's transcendental prayers in the last session, and it was really very wonderful. Now Brahma is, before that we saw about the introduction of this whole pastime, how Lord Brahma had come to take darshan of Krishna, and he saw that Krishna is sitting with his cowherd boyfriends, and then they're all having nice play and nice. They are actually having a lunch in the bank of Yamuna, and seeing all this casual dealings with the Lord and the cowherd boys, Brahma gets bewildered, and then he does some pranks by stealing away the calves and the cowherd boys of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna was not affected. No, he just expanded himself into all these different calves and cowherd boys, and with this, he could able to spend a year. And then Brahma, when he came back, he saw that his stealing of calves and the cowherd boys has not affected anything in Vrindavan. And then he could able to understand that this is the Supreme Lord, and Lord actually manifests the all the expanded forms like calves and cowherd boys in the absence of the original set. Krishna had expanded himself into all these different various forms, and he actually showed himself as the Narayana Murti, the Vishnu Murti, from all of them. And Brahma was completely bowled over. He offered his obeisances, and he starts offering his prayers, and that's the prayers that we are actually studying. And these prayers are of very, very high conclusive truths. The supreme person within the universe is Lord Brahma, and he is giving this very wonderful prayers, and he is offering this very wonderful prayers. So let's chant these prayers, and as we discuss, right? So this is the third prayer for today, and we will try to cover up till seventh prayer. Eighth prayer is again a very, very important prayer, and very amazing prayer. So eighth prayer, we will do it, start from eighth prayer on the next session, right? So let's start from the third today. It's a very amazing prayer. So every prayer we will like chant it 3 times, and try to chant with me. Like you can also follow the words here, and you can try to chant with me, right? Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stitaha shutigatam tanuvan manobhir ye prayaso jita api aistais trilokyam. Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stitaha shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayasho jita api aistais trilokyam. Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stitaha shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayasho jita api aistais trilokyam. Okay, let's read the translation. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind, offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within three worlds. Right? So this is a very, very nice sloka. Jnane prayasam, no, like don't try to understand the Supreme Lord by, no, actually he's expressing his mind, Brahma is expressing his mind. He's telling that, no, you cannot be understood by jnana prayasa, like by speculative knowledge. No, if we try to research and try to understand the Lord, no, can I be able to understand at some point in time? So no. So by research, I cannot understand. Udapasya, like give it up. And then namantayeva, just by offering your obeisances to what? Jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam. So like to the narrations that are like spoken by the Lord directly or by the pure devotees of the Lord. And in how we should do sthane stitaha. So one doesn't need to take extraneous endeavor to go to different holy places, different tirthas, no need to do very, very great procedures or no things like that. Sthane sthita, whatever we are doing, let us be there only. And what should we do extra? Shrutigatam. So we should hear, no, Shrutigatan, Tanuvan Manobir, no, Tanuvan, Vak and Mana. Mana means like the mind. So body, mind, and the words, no, body, words, and mind. So we should try to use these faculties which are there with us, and we should try to offer our obeisances, offer our respects to the Lord by the way of hearing the message of Krishna consciousness. And what happens if we do this? Ye prayaso, if we do this thing, Ajita Jito. No, that person who's called as Ajita, who is not conquerable by anybody, no, who's beyond like anyone's reach, such a person becomes Jitaha. No, he becomes conquered. Ajita Jito. Api Aistais Trilokyam. No, that means like he's not conquerable by anyone, unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Right. So let's see the purport. Here the word udapasya clearly indicates that one should not even slightly endeavor to understand the absolute truth by the process of mental speculation, for it invariably carries one to an imperfect, impersonal understanding of God. The word jivanti indicates that a devotee who always hears about Lord Krishna will go back home, back to Godhead, even if he can do nothing except maintain his existence and hear topics concerning the Lord. So this may seem like if we just do this process of hearing, is it sufficient? No, how can it be possible? So there was once a great devotee of the Lord by the name Haridas Thakur. So he was there, and then he was invited for an assembly, and there Haridas Thakur also was. People were glorifying him, saying that he used to chant a lot of rounds, a lot of Hare Krishna mantra. And then people who actually saw him, so they glorified him, saying, "Oh, you are a great personality. You have so much of attachment for chanting the names of Lord, and like you're a very great person. And this, by chanting the names of the Lord, one can get liberation, and one can destroy all the sinful reactions, of one's life." So then Haridas Thakur told, no, this is not the benefit of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, you awaken a pure love towards the Supreme Lord. You awaken a attraction towards the Supreme Lord. And whatever you have told, liberation and reduction of sin and things like that, these are all just mere byproducts of this process of chanting or hearing the message of Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important thing. Like there, Haridas Thakur mentions, just like when sun rises, what happens? The first thing that happens when the sun rises is the fog that is there around. That gets reduced, and then the darkness that is there around, that also is vanished, right? So for these two effects to happen, it doesn't require a midday sun. The sun doesn't need to be there in the center, to like remove the fog and to actually give light to people. So these two things are done by the initial rays of the sun. Even if we are not able to see the sun in the horizon, the initial rays that have started coming, that itself is sufficient to destroy all the fog and destroy all the darkness. So in the same way, here we see that the mere initial rays of the holy name or initial effect of the holy name is sufficient to destroy all the sins, and it is sufficient to illuminate. So here the jnana prayasa that is mentioned, the effect of jnana is illumination and reduction of sin, right? So that is the end goal of the jnana yoga, right? And here we see in bhakti, if we actually try to understand the Lord by hearing about the narrations of the Lord. Now, many times we discuss about this word bhakti. So what is this bhakti all about? Bhakti means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnohu, like Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Right? So this is all the lakshanas of bhakti. This is all the elements of bhakti. And Shravanam, Kirtanam amongst them is really, really very important. And hearing about the narrations of the Lord, speaking about the Lord. So if this particular shloka is mentioning, wherever you are, you be there. And right now in Corona situation, we cannot do anything. We cannot even come to the temple. So we have to be sthane sthita, like we have to be there and wherever we are. And what we are supposed to do, we can actually hear the narrations about the Supreme Lord. They are so sweet and they're so amazing. Apart from hearing the narrations of the Lord, what else we can do? So the common people in their homes, what are they doing? Sometimes we sleep early and then we get up early in the morning. We get up sometimes by 3 o'clock or by 3:30 and things like that. And the house behind our, the place where we are. So we see that the TV that has started in the night, it is still going on. It is early morning and still going on. And when we start doing our daily morning puja and things like that, that's when the TV gets switched off. And that's when they actually go to sleep. And we see that people want to hear something. Everyone wants to hear something. Everyone wants to see something. So this is a natural propensity that is there. Even if you see early morning, there are birds are chirping. There are many birds are coming and then they are like kuch 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 kuch. They're doing something. And what are they doing? So they are also talking and hearing. They also want to speak something and hear something. And what are they doing? What is the subject matter that they are doing? So where is the food? Where is the mate? And all those things. Like their talk is on that. Even after becoming human beings, our position is that we are still doing the same thing, talking and hearing about subject matters which are there of this world. Here Lord Brahma is telling that if we can invest our time in hearing about the Supreme Lord, then that is a great thing done. What is the benefit of this? E prayaso jita ajita. We can actually conquer the Supreme Lord. That's very, very powerful actually, right? So, and we have just seen that the word Jivanti indicates the devotee who always hears about the Lord, and he will go back home, back to Godhead very soon. So let's continue to read the purport a little bit, right? So here it says that the word Jivanti indicates that a devotee who always hears about Lord Krishna and will go back home, back to Godhead, even if he can do nothing except maintain his existence and hear the topics concerning the Lord. So many times people ask what different procedures are there, what different vratas are there, what different fasting or this and that, and so many different procedures. People keep exploring and things like that. But here it is such an amazing process that is given. The process is that we just simply have to hear about the Supreme Lord, even if we just do whatever is needed for maintaining our family and things like that, and hear the topics that are concerning to the Lord and chant and hear the holy names of the Lord. That's really very powerful. It can actually make a lot of difference in our life, right? And then here, Srila Sanatan Goswami has explained the words Tanuvan Manobihi, by body, words, and mind, in three ways. In reference to devotees, through their body, words, and mind, they are able to conquer Krishna. Thus, becoming perfect in Krishna consciousness, they can touch his lotus feet with their hands, call him to come with their words, and attain his direct audience with their mind simply by thinking about him. right? So this is a very, very attractive and very akarshaniya, no, process actually. It is really very attractive. So there is two nice things that we can actually think of. So one is that two nice pastimes that we can think of. One is that Prahalad, no, Prahlad was, he was taken to his father after a little bit of education, and father asked, "What is the best thing that you have learned in the school?" And he spoke about Krishna Bhakti. And then the father told, "No, to the teachers, no, take care of him properly. No, he is learning wrong things. No, please don't teach him all these things, or please don't, no, get him exposed to these things. No, teach him politics, economics, and no, all Rajatantra and things like that. That's what is needed for him. No, you don't teach all this, no, devotion to the Lord." And when the teachers come back and ask him, "No, who has taught you all these things? Why are you speaking in this way? No, why are you speaking about Krishna Bhakti?" So then Prahlad says that, "No, what to do? I'm not taking any endeavor to do this. No, it is, I am just like iron piece, and Lord is like the magnet. And his thought process, thoughts about him is naturally coming to my mind, just like an iron piece is attracted to the magnet." So that's the thing that he is mentioning. And when Prahlad is in danger, now we know that Krishna is attracted, no, exactly the same way, no, as if Prahlad is the magnet and Krishna is the iron piece. No, he is immediately attracted. And whenever Prahlad is actually thinking about the Lord, no, he's immediately attracted. So, no, we know of so many cases where Prahlad was thrown from the cliff. Prahlad was given the poison, and no, like when the poison was there, was given to him, he just meditated on the Lord, no, and he told that, "My Lord, I have never taken anything without first offering it to you, and here there is something they are giving me. No, let me offer it to you." And he just offered in his mind, and then he took, no, the poison. When it is touched by the lips of the Lord, no, when something is offered to the Lord, immediately the Lord accepts it. No, when that too, when patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati, when it is offered with bhakti, when it is offered with love and devotion, when the devotee of the Lord calls to the Lord that, "You please take this, no, nice preparation that I have made," the Lord becomes very happy. No, he is very, very eager to accept that nice preparation. And no, in this way, Lord accepted that poison. And the moment Lord accepted the poison turned out to be nectar. No, nectar means that which can prolong one's life. No, that's nectar. Amrita. No, so mrita means like to die. No, marna means like it's die. Mrita. Amrita means like there is no death, or that which prolongs one's life. No, it's called amrita. And also it is also very sweet and nectarian. And Prahlad just took that, and nothing happened to him. And then Prahlad was put under the feet of great elephants, and nothing happened to him. He was put in the midst of very, very venomous serpents, nothing happened to him. And all sorts of things were tried on him, no, and nothing happened to him. It's all because of this thing, no, tanuvan manobihi. Like, no, he was fully conscious of the Lord. He was always, no, conscious of the Lord. And this is so amazing, actually. In fact, no, people of this world is always, no, in constant fear. Every one of them are constantly thinking, what will happen to my future? What will happen to this? What will happen to that? So many different thoughts is going on in the mind. No, that's constantly haunting a person, actually, constantly, like, no, these things are haunting a person. But then, if we are Krishna conscious, if we are able to do this thing, tanuvan manobihi, on the Supreme Lord, then we will be the blissful person in the whole world. No, we will be the blissful person in the whole world. No problem in this world can actually touch us. No problem in the world. The fear of future will actually go far away. No, because we will start relishing the present tense, and we will start having the faith that till now, no, when I was a small child, who was taking care of me? No, when I was sometimes, like, we would have experienced in so many times, like we would have been saved in different scenarios. Actually, we would have not planned, but no, things happened. So who was doing all these things, right? And so many ways, like the Lord is actually taking care, protecting, and things like that. So this whole fear of future is like a small child going to the, parent and saying that, what's the guarantee you will give me the next meal? No, please give me the meal right now. I'm not able to, have the faith that you will give me the next meal. That, no, please give me the next meal. I will save it for myself, and I'll have. No, that's what, when we actually go to the Lord and ask for my future security, the Lord actually thinks that, no, when have I not taken care of you? No, all the time I have taken care of you. When have I not taken care of you? So why do you have so much of this one? No, whichever position you are, no, you had been in different lifetimes. No, you had been an elephant, you had been a different animal species and things like that. Every time I have taken care of you. No, you have been doing different karmas, and accordingly you are getting different bodies. But wherever you are, I have always been taking care of you. Now, why do you have this kind of a doubt that I will take care of you? And so this is the way the Lord actually thinks. So when we actually put our faith in the Lord, saying that He is there and He is going to take care of me, suhrudam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shanti mrichati, just by understanding that the Lord is there, He is going to take care of me in every situation. No, nyatva mam, no, just by knowing this, shanti mrichati, we get, deep peace in our existence. And then, we can actually be relishing tanuman manobihi, like, we can actually be relishing, Krishna Katha all the time, right? So here we see that the devotees of the Lord, they, like, all the time they discuss about the pastimes of the Lord, discuss about the glories of the Lord. In this way, they conquer the Lord. And once you conquer the Lord, what else is there, right? So sometimes people in official environment, this happens. If somebody is very influential, they try to put some maska to them, and then if they have their favor, this influential person's favor, so then you can get anything done in the organization. So here also we see that in this great organization of the entire creation, the most influential person is the Supreme Lord. And how to attract Him? Just hear about Him. Just hear about Him, and the Bhagavatam is the full descriptions of the Lord. And just by hearing about Him, He gets attracted. He gets completely attracted to us. And so this is what is mentioned about the devotees of the Lord. And I would just like to quickly read this. So this is in relation to the Ambarish Maharaj pastimes. So this is the state of Ambarish Maharaj. Like we have been hearing that in the for a devotee, how he applies his mind, words, and body in the service of the Lord. And this is a standard example that is often quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 9th canto, right? So let's chant this also. It's very, very purifying. So let's chant this set of slokas. This describes the glories of Ambarish Maharaj, how nicely he was engaged in the service of the Lord, right? So this can be, try to follow me, this chant. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor vacham shivaikuntha gunanu varnane karau harer mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakara chuta satkatodaye mukunda lingalaya darshane drisho tadprutya gatra sparashanga sangamam granam chatat pada saroja saurabe Srimat Tulasya Rasanam Tadarpite Padau Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabhivandane Kamam Chadashe Natu Kama Kamyaya Yatottama Shloka Janashraya Ratihi. So this is very amazing, this one. Now let's read the translation. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his senses of touch in touching the bodies of Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service, in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. And just to note, Ambarish Maharaj is not a sannyasi or something. He was a grahastha, and he was the king of the entire planet. And he was ruling with all might and power, just by the power of his devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So sometimes it is misunderstood that devotional service means giving up everything and becoming a sadhu and becoming a renunciant and things like that. And here we see, just by being absorbed in the service of the Lord, Ambarish Maharaj could be the king of the whole world. That's the capacity of devotional service. We will never be the losers, by doing devotion service. And by doing this, what happens later on, we see that the Supreme Lord, when he actually points to his devotees in the same chapter or in the next chapter of Amrish Maharaj, we see that it's there that Lord is telling that, you see that I'm very much attached to my devotees. Why? Because they are so much attached to me, and how can I not be attached to them? No, I'm so much attached to them, and whatever there is a problem, immediately I am there at their call. Even they don't need to call me. No, I am just there for them. So that's the way, the Lord actually reciprocates with his devotees, right? So now let's see the second, this one. Now, this same Tanuvan Manobihi in the case of non-devotees. In the case of non-devotees, the words Tanuvan Manobihi refers to the word Ajita, unconquered, and indicate that those not engaged in loving service of Lord Krishna cannot conquer the absolute truth by their bodily strength, verbal expertise, and mental power. Despite all their endeavors, the ultimate truth remains beyond their reach. Right? So this is the thing that is mentioned. So if a person is not a devotee, he may try to achieve the Lord. He may try to gain some spiritual progress, but it's very difficult. No, it's not that easy. No, sometimes it is mentioned that some of the acharyas actually mention that patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. So patram, no, it is a leaf. Pushpam is flower, and like toyam is water. And by these simple things, if Lord can be pleased, then what's the point of doing very, very Herculean tasks and so much of difficult austerities and things like that? So the Lord is agreeing to become pleased by simple offerings. We can just have some pictures of the Lord, or the deity of the Lord in home, and we can lovingly offer every day, just like every family member of ours. So we try to offer something to them. We take care of them and things like that. If we can consider the Lord to be one of our family member, and especially which of the family member we will take care of so nicely. If there is a small child which is there, and then that child is actually what is that dependent completely in the on the parents, and the parents actually take care of the child very nicely. In the same way, the deity of the Lord should be considered to be like the child, in the family, and then the deity of the Lord should be taken care, very nicely, time to time, nicely offering, nice foodstuffs, and then giving them nice decoration of flowers, and offering tulsi unto the lotus feet of the Lord. These are all very, very powerful things. Just by doing this simple offering, one can actually conquer the Lord. Just by chanting the names of the Lord, just by hearing the narrations of the Lord, just by doing these simple things, one can actually conquer the heart of the Lord. So that's how powerful it is. So on the contrary, the non-devotees of the Lord, those who are not devoted to the Lord, those who don't have love and affection towards the Lord, even if they try to study the scriptures, even if they try to do so much of austerities and things like that and all, and try to endeavor to understand the Lord by knowledge and research and things like that, it's not possible. So it's completely not possible. So it is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, another prayer of Lord Brahma. That's, it says that pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayo ratapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyasti yat prapada simni avichintya tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship that Govinda who cannot be conquered or who cannot be reached by any amount of endeavor. Even if you travel at the speed of light or mind, or any fastest object that you can take, pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo, even if you travel for koti varsha, still you cannot capture the Lord, right? So that's the position of the Lord. So let's continue the purport a little more. And then in reference to the word jitaha, conquered, The word Tanuvan Manobihi indicates that pure devotees of Lord Krishna conquer his body, words, and mind. Lord Krishna's body is conquered because he always remains by the side of his pure devotees. Lord Krishna's words are conquered because he always chants the glories of his devotees. And Lord Krishna's mind is conquered because he always thinks about his loving devotees. So this is not just, it is written as a commentary here. This is actually the words of the Lord. In the pastimes of Ambarish Maharaj I was mentioning. So this is actually the words of the Lord. The Lord says, Aham Bhakta Paradina. No, he aswatantra ivadvija. He says that Aham Bhakta Paradina. No, I become para adina. Adina means like I am under the control of my devotees. No, my devotees actually conquer me, right? So that's the very amazing aspect of the devotion to the Lord. So this, why is that the devotees are so much mad after Krishna, so much they're worshipping and things like that? Is it that they're not going to get anything in return? Simply they're wasting time? No, they want to conquer the best of the personalities. They want to conquer the Supreme Lord, and that is the reason that they are actually doing devotional service, and they are really intelligent because they want to get the greatest of all the treasures. One time, if we get Krishna, all the needs for everything in millions of lifetimes that we may have, everything is satisfied, right? So we should have, even if we treat devotion in business terms, we should know that this is the highest profitable endeavor that we can actually do, right? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained the words Tanuvan Manobihi in regards to the word Namantaha, offering obeisances. He explains that the devotees can take full advantage of the transcendental topics of the Lord by offering all respects to those topics with their body, words, and mind. One should engage his body by touching the ground with his hands and head while offering obeisances to the topics of the Lord. So this is sometimes seen. This is the culture. Whenever we go to the temple of the Lord, we actually offer obeisances to the Lord. So nowadays, people actually come to the temple. They just see something like as if they are come to a zoo and seeing some animals and things like that. They just come and then they just see and go, and they don't even bend. The culture is that when we go in front of the Lord, we should namanta. We should offer our obeisances, namaskar. So namaskar has gradually become like, just joining the palms. Yeah, that's definitely namaskar. So, but here it's clearly described by the acharyas, like, they are describing namaskar means we have to touch our hand and head to the ground. The head is having all the ego, and it is like, fully puffed up with the pride and things like that. That head, we should just put down in front of the Lord, and it should touch the ground. That's the way of namaskar. We should always offer namaskar like that, right? So let's see. Offering obeisances, one should engage his words by prizing the transcendental literatures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as the devotees who are preaching such literatures. So we should engage our words in glorifying them, right? And one should engage his mind by feeling great reverence and pleasure while hearing the transcendental topics of the Lord. So this is Manobirama. So this is like very, very Manoranjan. It is very attractive to the heart and very pleasing to hear the narrations about the Lord, right? So, I have seen that people seeing so many TV serials and so many different things, that they get engaged in. But at the end, it may be very interesting. It may be quite engaging and things like that. But at the end of it, what did we actually get? One time I was there in one of my relatives' home, and the TV was constantly going on, and there was some serial in which like two ladies were like very bitterly fighting, using all ill words and things like that. I was thinking, if they read the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kama yesha, Krodha yesha, Rajoguna samudbhava, Mahashano Mahapapma, Vidyena Maya Vairinam. This Kama, Krodha, and things like that, this is the greatest enemy. And Krishna says, this enemy, where does it sit? It sits in the mind, intelligence, and the senses. And these people are simply seeing this thing where two people are angry and with a lot of envy and anger. They are just fighting like anything. And these people are just simply observing this TV serial and taking in all these things. And Krishna mentions that this is gateway to hell. And simply by listening to this, they are going to hell. So, people are not able to understand this thing behind the whole thing. that what has been exposed in terms of serials and films and things like that, it's just the condensed form of kama, krodha, lobha, modha, mada and matsarya. So all this lust, anger, greed, envy, pride and things like that. So this is what has been portrayed. And then Krishna very clearly mentions this is the gateway to hell. And on the same time, we see that if we hear about the topics of the Lord, and these are so pleasing to hear, and then they are the path for liberation for us, right? So that's why these are really very amazing. This one, to study Srimad Bhagavatam, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, a sincere devotee who has acquired even a small amount of transcendental knowledge about Lord Krishna can conquer him and thus go back home, back to Godhead for eternal life at the Lord's side. Right? So this is the benefit of hearing these transcendental topics. Right? So let's chant the next sloka. Shreya Shrutim, okay. Shreya Shrutim Bhakti Mudasyate Vibho Klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye tesham asau kleshalaye sasishyate nanyad yatha stula tushabhagatinam. Shreya Shrutim Bhakti Mudasyate Vibho Klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye tesham asau kleshalaye sasishyate nanyad yatha stula tushabhagatinam. Shreya Shrutim Bhakti Mudasyate Vibho Klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye tesham asau kleshalaye sasishyate nanyat yatha stula tushabhagatinam. So this says, my dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up the path and engages in cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. Klesho dikattarastesham avyakta shakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkam dehavabdiravapyate. So this process of understanding the Supreme Absolute by the way of speculative knowledge is very, very troublesome. And the whole process is mentioned here, like if we beat the empty husk is the all of you those who have had isabgol, sometimes people take isabgol for stomach problems. That's nothing but the husk. That's a psyllium husk karke, it will be written on this one. Husk means the covering of the grain. Covering of the grain, and the rice is beaten first to remove from the husk, and then the rice is taken. And once the rice is removed, the empty husk also looks like this one. What is that? Paddy. Looks like paddy. And if somebody thinks that, oh, this is the paddy, and let me get the grain out of it, and if he tries to beat, it has already become empty. He will not get anything. And after all the endeavor, what is the thing that is there? It's only the hand will pain. That's the only thing, only benefit that is there. After all this hard endeavor, right? So here it is mentioned that if we do this speculative analysis and try to understand the Lord, so it is like beating the empty husk. The real grain is the devotion to the Lord, and that has already been removed from there, right? So it is mentioned, the purport, let us read. Loving service to the Supreme Person is the natural and eternal function of every living entity. Now let me read it again. Loving service to the Supreme Person is the natural and eternal function of every living entity. If a person renounces his own occupation, his own constitutional function, and instead laboriously seeks so-called enlightenment through impersonal speculative knowledge, his result is simply the trouble and bother that comes from following an artificial process. A fool may beat an empty husk, not knowing the grain has already been removed. Similarly, foolish is the person who throws his mind again and again into the pursuit of knowledge without surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the very substance and goal of knowledge. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Vedescha sarvair ahameva vedyaha vedanta krit veda videva chaham. So he mentions that I am to be known by all the Vedas. No, the supreme goal of all the Vedic knowledge, or supreme goal of all spiritual endeavors, is to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Right. So that's the ultimate goal. And no, by speculative process, no, we will not achieve. No, that is why we should try to follow in the footsteps of the Lord and the great devotees, to hear from the scriptures, and for the purpose of attaining bhakti, for the purpose of attaining the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's the great thing. And here we see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the very substance and goal of knowledge. Just as grain is the substance and goal of entire agricultural effort, Vedic knowledge, or indeed material science, without the personality of Godhead, is exactly like an empty and useless husk of wheat. Right? One may argue that by practicing yoga or cultivating impersonal knowledge, one can acquire prestige, wealth, mystic powers, and even impersonal liberation. But these so-called gains are actually useless, because they do not situate the living being in his constitutional position of loving service to the Supreme Lord. So in this connection, there is a very nice sloka which is there in the first canto of Bhagavatam, which says, what is that? Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam nashobanam jnanam alam niranjanam kuta punas sashvad abhadramishware nacharpitam karma yadappa karanam. So it says that whatever you may follow, nishkama karma yoga or the jnana yoga, or whatever process you may follow, if it is without achyuta bhava varjitam, if it is without the devotion to the Supreme Lord, exactly the same point which is mentioned here, it's like an empty husk. You can just keep on going, beating on that. You will not get anything out of it. It's only frustration that remains, at the end of it. So that's why, it is mentioned that the greatest of shelters, the ultimate shelter, after attaining that shelter, we will not hanker for anything else in this world. That shelter is the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, right? And in this way, it is mentioned about this thing, that although the process of devotional service to Lord Krishna is very simple, it is extremely difficult for stubborn, conditioned souls who come to completely humble themselves before the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to absorb themselves 24 hours a day in in His loving service. The mood of loving service is anathema to belligerent conditioned souls determined to defy God and enjoy. So anathema means basically they hate the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So when such stubborn conditioned souls attempt to bypass surrendering to God through proud attempts at philosophical speculations, austerity, and yoga, they are turned back to material platform by the powerful laws of God, and violently merged into the heaving ocean of insignificance called the material world. So without devotion to the Lord, we have to keep on struggling in this material world, right? So that's the understanding there. So let's chant the next shloka, fifth shloka. Pureha bhuman bahavopi yoginas vad arpiteha nija karma labdaya vibudya bhaktyaiva katopanitaya prapedhire jo achyuta te gatim param. Pureha bhuman bahavopi yoginas vad arpiteha nija karma labdaya vibudya bhaktyaiva katopanitaya prapedirenjot achyuta te gatim param. Pureha bhuman bahavopi yoginas vad arpiteha nija karma labdaya vibudya bhaktyaiva katopanitaya prapedirenjo achyuta te gatim param. So, O Almighty Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O infallible one, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. Right? So this is an amazing thing. Through such process, through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you. So this is the perfectional stage. To come to the point of hearing about the Supreme Lord, is the perfected stage. And somehow or other, we should all appreciate our good fortune. So we are sitting here today and hearing about the Supreme Lord and discussing about the Supreme Lord. And here it is mentioned, no, through such devotional service perfected by the process of hearing and chanting. This is the perfectional limit of performing devotion to the Lord, to take pleasure in hearing and chanting about the Lord, right? So we are very fortunate to be in this kind of situation. And it is not the first time. No, many yogis, many devotees, many people have crossed over this ocean of material existence just by taking shelter of the Lord, by the process of hearing and chanting about Him, right? Let's chant the sixth sloka. Tatapi bhuman mahima gunashyate vibodhamarhat tamalantaratmabihi avikriyat svanubhavadarupato hiyananya bodhya tamaya na chanyatha tatapi bhuman mahima gunashyate vibodhamarhat tamalantaratmabihi avikriyat svanubhavadarupato hiyananya bodhyat mataya na chanyatha tatapi bhuman mahima gunashyate vibodhumarhat kamalantaratmabihi avikriyat svanubhavadarupato hi ananya bodhyat tama hi ananya bodhyat mataya na chanyata. Okay, let's read the translation. Non-devotees, however, cannot realize you in your full personal feature. Nevertheless, it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as the impersonal supreme by cultivating direct perception of the self within the heart. But they can do this only by purifying their mind and senses of all conceptions of material distinctions and all attachment to material sense objects. Only in this way will your impersonal feature manifest itself to them, right? So it's like basically, ruling out all the this one for the non-devotees. Like non-devotees, however, cannot realize you in your full personal feature. Nevertheless, it may be possible for them to realize your impersonal supreme, impersonal Brahma Jyoti. They may be able to understand, but they will not be able to understand, the personal form of the Lord. No, but they can do this only by purifying their mind and senses of all conceptions of material distinctions and all attachment to material sense objects. Only in this way will your impersonal feature manifest itself to them. Even to attain the impersonal feature, they have to purify themselves. It is difficult for conditioned souls to understand all the transcendental features of the Supreme Lord as confirmed in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti and Bhagavaniti Sabdyate. So this is the three levels of understanding. Even to come to the point of Brahman understanding, it takes a lot actually. No, it's not ordinarily, people cannot understand this thing, right? And the transcendental existence of God is understood progressively as Brahmeti, that is impersonal effulgence, Paramatmeti, the localized super soul in one's heart, and finally Bhagavaniti, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead, existing in his eternal abode. So Lord Krishna's transcendental existence is beyond the qualities of material nature. Thus here the Lord is referred to as Agunasya, without material qualities. So why Lord Brahma is telling all these things? Because just now he has witnessed the amazing Leela of the Lord. The Lord is sitting amongst his cowherd boyfriends, and then he is having his lunch, and it was looking like an ordinary scene, but actually it is a very, very amazing thing that was happening. There was intense devotional service between the cowherd boys and the Supreme Lord was happening. And it is not possible for an ordinary person. If an ordinary person sees, like here is just some village boys, they are just sitting around and having lunch. What's the point about this? But the pure devotees, when they see that Krishna is sitting and is having this wonderful lunch with his boys. Here, one of our devotees, Rahul Prabhu, his icon here in our participants list, if you see, his icon is this Krishna sitting and having lunch with all the cowherd boys. That scene is there, right? So the DP, so that's the thing that Lord Brahma had seen. And he is telling that I couldn't able to understand what you were doing there. I was just thinking that it is something no, I was discounting your position because you are just playing around with them like this. So it is very difficult to understand, no, to understand the Brahman. No, forget about Paramatma and forget about Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Lord personally sitting there and having his lunch with his cowherd boys, and to understand what he's actually doing, how he is actually relishing his pastimes. No, relishing the reciprocation of his devotees. No, over there, it's very, very difficult to understand. No, that is why Sukadeva Goswami actually mentions that these cowherd boys who are sitting with Krishna and having the lunch, these are not ordinary boys. No, like he mentions that Krita Punya Punjaha, after performing so many lifetimes of devotional service, so much of accumulation of punya, with heavy heaps of punya, these great personalities have become the cowherd boys, and they are actually having lunch with Krishna now, no, and they are playing with Krishna now. So their greatness cannot be estimated, right? So that's the amazing this one. That is what is actually making Brahma to speak all these words. That no, you cannot be understood by jnana, you cannot be understood by yoga, you cannot be understood by great austerities and things like that. You can only be conquered by bhakti. And what is that bhakti? In the third sloka, the first sloka that we discussed today, that is to sthane sthita, what is that? Jnane prayasa udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya varta sthane sthita shruti tanuvan manobir. So just by hearing about the Lord's narrations, Lord's pastimes, we actually gradually start to control the Lord, gradually start to melt the Lord's heart, and he becomes favorable. He becomes attracted towards us, and we also becomes attracted towards the Lord. Right? So this is the process that is Lord Brahma is telling. And basically in this one, he's just telling that even by practicing yoga and engaging in advanced philosophical speculation, one will find it very difficult to understand clearly the transcendental existence beyond the modes of material nature. And these processes are virtually useless understanding the Lord's own unlimited transcendental qualities, which are far beyond useless for understanding the Lord's unlimited transcendental qualities, which are far beyond the impersonal conceptions of spiritual existence. Only by the mercy of pure devotees, this is very important, only by mercy of pure devotees of the Lord, or by associating with the Lord himself, one can begin the process of realizing the personal feature of God, a process that culminates in pure Krishna consciousness, the final and supreme perfection of knowledge. So this is very important. Right? So only by the grace of the Lord, we get the grace, we get the association of a pure devotee, and only by the grace of a pure devotee, we get to understand about the Lord, right? And that is done by the process of hearing, right? And the best subject matter to hear is Srimad Bhagavatam. And all of us, we are doing the best thing in the entire creation. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the best of the descriptions of the Lord, and hearing about the Lord is the best of the devotional service that we can actually perform, right? So we are really doing the best of the things, best of everything that we could do in the entire creation. So this 1 hour that we are sitting together, is the best of the things that we are doing, in the entire creation, right? So we should have this confidence in us. So let's chant the last sloka. Gunatmanasthepi gunan vimatum hitva hitva tirnasya ka ishireshya kalena yairva vimita sukalpair bhupam sava ke milika tyubasaha gunatmanasthepi gunan vimatum hitva tat hitavatirnasya ka ishireshya kalena yairva vimita sukalpair bhupam shava ke mihika dyubhasaha. Okay, so let's read the translation. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the star, and other luminaries. But amongst these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities. No, so this is the this one. It is mentioned that like the learned philosophers, sometimes they may be able to count all the unlimited atoms in the earth, no, and then the particles of snow, and then the shining molecules, no, of the sun. So if you see these are going subtle way, no, it is actually increasing in the subtlety and increasing in its complexity actually. So earth atom, no, particles of earth is little more grosser, and particles of snow is like little more subtler, and then particles of sunshine is even more subtler. So no, sometimes like the material scientists may end up counting all of them, but even if they count all of them, still they cannot understand the glories of the Lord. Here, this is a very important statement, because Lord Brahma, he is the creator of this world, no, means creator of this secondary creator, we can say, of this universe. And he knows the detail of every single atom that is present in the entire creation, entire, at least in this universe. And he is mentioning, I know everything in and out, but still I couldn't able to realize you. I was not able to understand your pastimes. I was completely bewildered, when I actually saw the Leela that you were performing here. So that's what Lord Brahma is telling, that what he is telling is that it's not that it is something impossible that he is telling, or he is just doing an exaggeration. Brahma is capable of doing this. Brahma is capable of understanding everything in this at least in this material in this universe. And he is telling that your qualities are much beyond that, even beyond all this count of these things, because I am bewildered even after knowing so much, right? So that's a very, very realized statement. So let's try to read this purport, and then we will finish today's session. Srila Sanatan Goswami explains that Lord Krishna is Gunatma. So I'll just quickly explain this this paragraph. Gunatma means that person who gives life to a quality. Somebody may be merciful, somebody may be very having compassion and things like that. So these gunas, can be theoretically explained, but then if we see them in a person, so then immediately it gets life. That quality in action we can actually see. So in that way, the life of all the qualities is the Supreme Lord, because the Lord is the one who's infusing us with some qualities, right? So whatever qualities we are able to see in us, it's the mercy that has been offered to us by the Lord. So in this way, like we can see that Lord is a Gunatma. He gives life to the qualities. And in fact, we possess certain qualities. It is only by the mercy of the Lord, right? A living entity who develops the transcendental qualities found in the Lord receives immeasurable benefit and eventually goes with the Lord back to his own abode, right? So I'm just summarize the first paragraph, right? Let's go to the second paragraph. Srila Sanatan Goswami further explains that the Lord manifests a specific spiritual quality for the benefit of each living entity. Since there are innumerable living entities within the confines of material creation, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way. All of us are unique, and all of our likes and dislikes are also unique, right? So if we go to a shop, like all of us will not like the same product, but Krishna is mentioned. He is all attractive. He attracts everyone. How is he attracting everyone? Because I like a particular quality and Krishna has it, and you like a particular quality and Krishna has it, and a third person likes a particular quality and Krishna has it. Everything that we can think of, and even that we cannot even think of, all those qualities Krishna has. Why? Because this is the mercy of the Lord. He just simply wants to attract the living entities and to give them protection and shelter and under his lotus feet, right? Amazing quality of the Lord. The example is given here that even if the most learned scholars could someday count the particles of earth, snow, and light, they will still fail to understand the qualities of the Lord. In this example, earth, snow, and light are progressively more subtle. Thus, it is to be understood that there is an increasing difficulty in counting their virtually infinite particles. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, great personalities like Lord Sankarsana actually have counted the number of atoms on the earth and even the molecules in the entire universe. Yet even such a personality as Sankarsana, who has been continuously chanting the glories of the Lord since time immemorial, has not even approached a final count of those glories. Lord Krishna exhibits his most astonishing qualities during his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, where he steals butter from the cowherd ladies, dances with his girlfriends, and plays with his cowherd boyfriends as their most dear companion. Although appearing like ordinary human activities, such sublime pastimes embody Lord Krishna's immeasurable and innumerable beautiful transcendental qualities, which are the life and soul of pure devotees. Because we simply keep singing about the glories of the Lord and qualities of the Lord, and that is the life and soul of the devotees of the Lord, right? So in this way, like I would say this is the highlight of today's this one. The Lord is we will just read this paragraph again. Srila Sanatana Goswami further explains that the Lord manifests a specific spiritual quality for the benefit of each living entity. Now we can imagine, just for us, just for me, not just for you, Krishna is exhibiting a particular quality just to attract us. Since there are innumerable living entities within the confines of material creation, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way, right? So, with this, actually, we'll come to the conclusion. And just to give a prelude to the next session, we are going to start with this sloka. This is the 8th sloka of this chapter. We have totally 40, and this is the 8th one. This is a really amazing sloka. And especially for our condition right now, the condition is the difficulties. All of us are going through different difficulties, and this sloka talks about that. How a devotee of the Lord faces the difficulties in his life. In a spirit, in a very, very positive spirit. How he faces the difficulties and just goes by that. So this is a nice sloka. Let us chant this sloka and end this session, right? Tattenu kampam susumikshamano munjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurbir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti padesha bhag. Right? So this is really amazing sloka. So we will start from this sloka next week, right? So thank you all very much for joining for this session and being part of this wonderful Purushottam Vrata. And let's at 8:15 we are going to have the chanting of the 15th chapter and the Chaurashtakam. So be part of that also, and let's take maximum advantage of this period, and let's try to hear more about the Lord. Let's try to absorb ourselves in the process of devotional service, and we have sufficiently heard about the results of that. We will be able to conquer the Lord who's unconquerable, right? So let's end this session now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.